Welcome back to your favorite show, The League of the Genuine, the only show on the planet that discusses matters to do with counterfeits, fake products, substandards, services, and so on. So we are continuing our discussion on technology and counterfeits. The question always is technology helping to save us from counterfeits, or technology is actually promoting counterfeits? We have a brand new guest this episode, an incredible gentleman. He is the founder, CEO, chairman, president, I don't know what they call themselves, of a youth organization called Incredible Youth. This gentleman is incredible himself. He has behind him a network of close to 3 million youth across 60 countries. And he has succeeded to bring them together in a powerful network since 2005, since he was a young man at school. And he is here together, I am sure, with the 3 million youth to share with us his views, sentiments, and understanding on this subject of counterfeits. Please join me in welcoming none other than James Brain Ntwatwa. You are welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here. This is a very wonderful opportunity for me to be speaking with a gentleman that is fighting so hard to make sure that we get genuine products from fake products. I'm glad to be here.
James, I alleged in the introduction,
yes.
Maybe I should correct it. I said you are incredible. For me, I said you are incredible because you've never been employed. You stopped in first or second year of the university to pursue your passion,
yes.
Something that you wanted.
Yes.
In other words, you were not attracted to the trappings of a degree and all these qualifications things, but you're still able to. Do you agree with that statement, that you are incredible?
I absolutely 100% agree with the fact that I'm incredible, because you can only attract people to be incredible if you're incredible yourself. And I want to make a little bit of analysis on the word incredible youth. There's a time I was speaking to a teachers' convention. So many teachers had gathered, and one of the teachers from Masaka asked me, why do you want to be incredible and not credible? So to some people, they think being credible is the opposite of being incredible, and not knowing that with incredible youth, it's something connected to being credible, but even more than being credible. So I think he thought incredible is being uncredible.
Being uncredible.
Yes.
And on this show, on the League of the Genuine,
yes,
we fight counterfeits.
Absolutely.
And we also think that they are incredible. Would you agree that counterfeits are incredible things? Or
they are uncredible, but they could be incredible in a negative way. An effect can be a positive effect or a negative effect. So incredible is an effect. So someone can determine how they could turn it into.
Well, one of the things that makes me think you're incredible is that you start Incredible Youth, such a big organization now with a big following, in your S5, in higher secondary.
Yes.
You will be hard pressed at the moment to find even a university graduate who can start up something and live that dream and pursue it to conclusion. What informs your decision to start something at such an early age, S5, and you sustain it for, it's now how many years, 15
yes,
or more?
Many
people will start a good idea, talk big about it and drop it. What is that special thing that kept Incredible Youth going?
Thank you so much. That's a very wonderful question. I think background affects the decisions that people take. And once you keep going that path, you realize that there's so much that you can learn. Now, Incredible Youth is shaped in such a way that I was looking at the needs of the society and trying to come up with solutions. And the more I delved into finding solutions to the challenges affecting young people, the more I realized that, one, I'm able to find a few solutions, but then there are more needs. So the idea of finding more solutions kept on helping me grow without necessarily realizing at the capacity and the impact I'm creating. If I give you an example, I started, it's a story of so many people, so I can't be really proud. I started paying my school fees in senior one. And I did not study first term. In fact, I was supposed to join one of the big schools in the city, Lubidi Secondary School. But because I couldn't afford the school fees, my placement was given to some other young person. So I went to another private school, Central College School, Natete. And I started in the second term. Now, staying back to copy the notes, I started noticing so many things. I started noticing students that were taking education for granted, students that were escaping from school to go. In Natete, there was a Bristol where young people would go and dance instead of staying in school.
During school time?
Absolutely. I started realizing that there were young people that would stay in class and practice relationships because I was staying late to copy notes. Then there are those that were betting in order to win a fight, show who has more muscle and more power. This is 2001. And so those simple things are what triggered me to say, can I show them that I'm struggling to keep myself in school? And whatever they are showing me is making me look at school as irrelevant. And so in the process of explaining to them is what started driving me. But then it did not stop at that school. I kept on getting invites in other schools.
But how would you, I know how schools are.
Yeah.
How would you, somebody who cannot pay school fees, probably you didn't have money to buy some grab at break time and therefore make friends with your influence of money. Nowadays, money is a big factor in schools.
Absolutely.
The friends you have, the children have at school depend on how much pocket money they have, how much grab they can bring. How are you able to still be an influence, yet you are basically a pauper?
Thank you. One of the key foundational facets of Incredible Youth is collaboration. But we teach a lot about communication skills, creativity, critical thinking, and collaboration.
Communication skills?
Yeah. Creativity, critical thinking, and collaboration. Now, communication...
4 pillars.
Absolutely. Now, in the process, we started a music group, and there's a song that we sang back then in 2005, preaching against HIV and AIDS and telling young people to stay away from sugar daddies and things like that. And that it is through entertainment that we become...
What was the song called?
Say No to AIDS. Just Say No to AIDS. It's on YouTube. The video is there, and we are very young kids.
Say no to?
Just say no to AIDS, yeah. Simply say no to AIDS.
And you are a vocalist, guitarist, or queen dancer in that?
I'm a vocalist, and I also do the production. I do the keyboards. Yeah. But we realized that the best way to communicate to young people was through entertainment. If you want to capture the attention of young people, be an entertainer. That's why they can easily identify themselves with Shiba, with all these other wonderful artists and comedians, because they're on TikTok, all these social media platforms, to look for entertainment. They are bored at home. Imagine they have been at home for 2 years, but they are very good at understanding who is the best TikToker in Uganda, Mr. and Mrs. TikToker, and Instagram, Snapchat, and all these different key media platforms. So I understood at a very age the best effective way of communicating to young people is through entertainment, because their concentration span is very short. And if you keep boring them, they start dozing off and they focus on something else. And it is against that background that, one, I started a music group. At that time, we called ourselves the IYI. And we used to preach this message of hope and helping them get rid of their immorality through music. And then I started moving out with counselors, because I thought that it's not just enough to entertain them. Someone has to be able to speak to them. But there's a specific story in one of the schools that we visited. It's a famous girls' school. It's a Muslim school. I come from a Christian background. And then the gentleman was concerned. I was a young person coming to speak to the girls. So he was worried, what am I going to say? So
you maybe had ulterior motives.
Absolutely. So I invited senior counselors. And then one of the girls wrote in a simple story. She was staying with an auntie. Her parents had died. She was an orphaned girl. And the auntie also retired. She couldn't afford the school fees. And the auntie had a friend, a workmate, a former workmate, in quotes, an uncle, who wanted to pay the school tuition on condition that the girl sleeps with him. And so the girl at first rejected the offer, and the auntie was a little bit pushy because she thought that the village where she was coming from was going to tag her as a bad auntie who couldn't keep a niece in school and turn her into a housemaid. Now, because she didn't want to get a backlash from the community, she thought that by encouraging her to go with this old man, it would save her reputation and keep the girl in school. So the girl was asking us a question that next week on Monday, we are in the school on a Saturday. Next week on Monday, I'm going back home. Should I go and sleep with this guy in order for me to stay in school
fees,
or I should quit school but keep my dignity? So the counselors, of course, didn't want to encourage her, and at the same time didn't want to take up the responsibility of paying the school fees, because that was the only solution. So they invited me now to get into that situation and provide a solution. I was in senior 5. It was a tough tragedy, but as a Christian person, I came back and asked myself, what does would you gain? What does it help you to gain the whole world and lose your soul? But I paraphrased it in a way of how will you graduate and die the next day out of HIV and AIDS, or get pregnant before you even graduate and anyway stop school.
And lose what you
Absolutely.
actually...
So in that sense, I committed myself to take on this girl in the presence of the whole class. I said, I'm going to
And
pay for
S5, you are a child yourself.
Yes, I said, I've struggled to keep myself in school since senior 1. I know together we can start something together. I can even bring you at our home. I was staying with a single mom. I had not informed her that I would be adopting a sister. And then, now when I made that bold move, and
did you have the resources?
I didn't, but I had hope that and then I even advised her that I might not afford a boarding section, but we can find cheap, affordable schools to give you an education other than sleeping with this guy. Little did I know that the owner of the school was seated amongst the students to literally inspect what message. Because first he thought we are going to preach to them Christianity, to become Christians. And secondly, he wasn't sure the kind of message we are going to give. And he came out and instead started crying, saying, okay, we keep on chasing girls
away from school,
not knowing where they are going to pick the money from. And from that day, he committed himself to take care of this child. So that is now the key driver for me to know that, okay, now I'm on the right track.
You're on the right track.
And then that is how I started now thinking about things of registering and sustainability.
So that is how Incredible Youth were born. Before we take the break, you just mentioned that the youth get bored. They need something to pay attention to, entertainment and so on. In the next segment, we are going to talk about the disaster that the youth are facing. Whereas they are bored and they need entertainment, they are actually feeding on a lot of counterfeits. And this is hurting very many of them. A lot of young people these days get diseases that were for old people. They get sick, they have heart disease, they are getting cancers. Many of them are dying premature deaths because of counterfeits.
Absolutely.
So when we return, we shall be asking Mr. James Brain Ntwatwa of the Incredible Youth, what is the relationship between counterfeits and the youth who happen to be the majority on this African continent, when we return. Welcome back to the second segment of this beautiful discussion here with Mr. Ntwatwa of the Incredible Youth. We broke off at a point where he was saying, you know, the attention span of the youth is not does not last long. They get bored. But James, how come the youth who you say get bored and they don't have attention, how come they have time and attention to actually look out for counterfeit? Why do I say this? A phone, for example, is a status symbol for most youth.
Yes.
But if you did a census, most of the phones that the youth are holding, the phones that the youth will go to buy, maybe because of affordability and things like that, the phones are actually fake.
Yes.
And many of the youth will buy a phone today, next month, the mouthpiece is not on, the earpiece, the battery. Has Incredible Youth helped the youth to be incredible by consuming genuine products? Because they are wallowing in counterfeit products. They are actually promoting counterfeits. They are providing a market for counterfeits. What would you say to that?
Thank you so much. That's a very wonderful question. It's very sad that the market has, from my perspective, this is on me, it is not on the program or talk show. The market has almost 90% of the products fake products. If you just take an example, if you just go to the shops where the young people have access, the genuine products that we can afford in Uganda are second-hand products. For you to afford a good phone, most of them are used UK phones. They will tell you this is a used UK phone. If you want a brand new one, it's Chinese and in most cases fake. And of course the people that have access. I've had traders, young people who are into business right now, who will tell you that they will go to China, for instance, to buy a product, and they tell you they have 5 different layers. There is level 1, level 2, and of course, as a business person, you will want to take the cheapest and then charge the highest. So the government has a role to play in helping to curb the counterfeit. I think the consumers have rights, but the blame should not necessarily go to the consumers, but mainly to the people that allow these fake products to keep coming to our country and to our market.
But the blame, the blame on the consumer is that many consumers who are youth actively and knowingly look out for these fakes. In fact, if they were confronted with a genuine product, the response would be, this is genuine, it is expensive, but there is an alternative which can do similar job.
Yes.
So meaning that if Incredible Youth is saying it is teaching the youth creativity, and critical thinking, and collaboration, and communication skills, somebody may say you are actually using the communication skills and creativity and critical thinking to push the counterfeit agenda. If this is what the youth are picking after learning all these skills from you.
This is what I will tell you and comment on this. And this is a very critical question. Why? Because the answer is obvious. Anyone will want to go for a genuine product. But the challenge is affordability. If the genuine product costs $1 million shillings and the fake product can cost 300,000 Uganda shillings, definitely anyone would like to identify themselves with a genuine product, but because they cannot afford it, go for a fake one. The only solution we have as Incredible Youth towards this young person is to help them understand their potential as early as possible so that they can start working on upgrading their ability to grow the muscle to purchase what they can afford or to purchase a genuine product. If I have a skill and I'm encouraged to learn this skill and practice it as early as primary, and I keep growing that skill, by the time I'm done with university, I will have enough capital saved, or I will have enough savings and enough capital, one, to stop looking for a job but grow my business, and therefore I can afford a genuine product. If I cannot afford it, then I will be with limited options but to go for a counterfeit. That's my personal thinking.
Okay, now you're dealing with a phone,
Yes.
which is a lifestyle product,
Absolutely.
basically. But let's move a little bit into healthcare products.
Yes.
During their reports that during COVID, a lot of young girls, youth, have gotten pregnant. They have dropped out of school because of this pregnancy. There is a morning after pill
Yes.
that is on the market. I think it's called Postina. A lot of this product is sourced by these young girls who engage in relationships and sex. And a lot of pregnancies are actually because they took the fake Postina.
Yes.
But part of the reason why they took the fake Postina, sometimes they look out for a cheap source, a cheap alternative. They will not go to the proper pharmacy to buy because the genuine Postina is maybe more expensive. So they end up pregnant.
Yeah.
There are also other cases where, let's look at sanitary pads. A pack of sanitary pads could be 12,000, could be 6,000. But this girl, knowing that there's a risk that she might actually be buying a fake sanitary pad, will go for the cheap one of 3,000 or 4,000. It will have a lot of health risks associated with use. It might be having the wrong cotton, it might be having pesticides in there. This sanitary pad, when it is used, can affect her reproductive health.
Yes.
Maybe this is how fibroids come. So the argument is that there appears to have been a mentorship of these youth, who you are calling incredible,
Yes.
by maybe the parenting,
Yes.
that even when faced with genuine and fake, they gravitate towards fake, not just because of cost, but because this is what they are used to. So as the incredible youth, in order to avoid your youth to stop being credible or incredible, I am saying that your agenda can get defeated by the fakes and substandards if these youth continue providing a market for that. Don't you see this as a stumbling block in this agenda you have for youth in the 60 countries where you are?
Thank you. Wonderful question. In the process of growth, you realize that most of us are in the process of learning. When you're still young, they tell you that when you take out your tooth, there's a rat somewhere with loads of cash that is willing to bless you. And some of us actually used to get stones to hit our teeth in order
So that
we get blessed.
the
But
tooth fairy
exactly.
can give you money.
And then there's another instance that when you walk towards the graveyard and you point your finger, it will get stuck there. there's a lot of learning that is going on as we're growing, and then a lot of the unlearning. So my question, in as much as I want to answer this question, is: are there materials or a course unit that has been developed by the wonderful anti-counterfeit network that can be available for young people to start seeing the dangers, not only of using fake products, but the dangers to their health? That this course unit could help even the teachers to take this as a very serious issue. Because honestly, the part of collaboration with Incredible Youth helps in a way that we know that we cannot handle everything. We cannot have all the answers
to everything.
But we have a niche and a responsibility to partner with other wonderful agencies like this one to be able to pass on this message to the young people.
Yeah, James, this subject of counterfeits, unfortunately, it is apparently one of those not so sexy, not so funky subjects. You will be hard pressed to get people to pay attention in many cases. Everybody thinks maybe it's the other person's problem and so on. So to get it into the mainstream, yes, I see your idea and it's a good one. Can we have educational materials? Yes, we even right now we're doing education. For example, we have decoded the problem of counterfeit and identify about 8 or 9 drivers of counterfeiting. Many of the people are consuming counterfeits because they cannot differentiate between the genuine and the fake. Genuinely, and the brands are not doing enough to help in the differentiation. Affordability, you've mentioned it. Can people afford? Because of poverty. But the question again is, can you be so poor to take your life? Because if poverty was the main driver for counterfeits and living and killing yourself, then I think most people in Africa would be dead.
Absolutely.
If poverty is a reason to die. I think you would not say that I am so poor to afford the correct painkiller, so let me take something to destroy my liver. And that's the other reason why counterfeits are prevalent. It's because the concealed dangers of counterfeits are not known. And of course the other things like aspiration. And maybe this is something I need to put to you. A lot of the youth would like to have those status symbols. I have a nice shoe. I have an Apple phone. I hold this. I can drive. Because of aspiration and because of liking to look like the stars that they see, they end up buying counterfeits. Do you agree that aspiration is a major issue, and how do you think you can tackle it, apart from putting this in the syllabus or having a course unit, something you can develop? How is aspiration a factor?
I think aspiration can be attacked through entertainment. There are so many wonderful movies that young people are eager to watch, like Vampire Diaries. It's a horror movie, a thriller, where people drink blood, of course, on humans.
And the youth want to watch this.
Absolutely. And so if we create this awareness through a solid movie, a good, an internationally recognized movie, that Netflix can be willing to come on board to, for instance, sponsor or participate in, or Hollywood, or this African-American brother, Tyler Perry. If we could be able to use that platform to speak to young people about counterfeit, and it is acted in a professional way, then that becomes a wonderful trigger for them to deal with aspiration.
But in the meantime, before Hollywood cameras start rolling down here, today, tomorrow, the youth who is an incredible youth and the youth who is not incredible, but is also a youth that is listening to you now, what is it you're telling them as James Brain Ntwatwa, youth leader, about
Okay.
counterfeits.
Thank you so much. Personally, my driving force is passion. Passion to be a change maker, passion to develop organically, and the best way is to start early. If you want to achieve success, if you do not waste time now into aspiring to be, but then working towards the aspirations that you have, you eventually have them. The idea of betting and quick fix, quick money has also contributed a lot to the dangers that are affecting young people in killing their dreams. Because if a young girl is busy, they wouldn't think about sleeping with an old man to get money to afford an iPhone. They would work. It takes longer, it takes a little bit of patience and more energy, but the pride of owning something that you have genuinely paid for with your hard-earned money, the magic in that wonderful execution cannot be compared to anything.
So are you saying youth can develop
Absolutely.
their personal careers and get their personal development by consuming? Should they consume counterfeits? Is that going to help?
No, what I'm trying to say is that one of the reasons why they consume counterfeit is affordability. They cannot afford genuine products. But with time, if they're willing to go through the process of identifying themselves and working at their passions in life, then they can easily afford the genuine products.
So what should they do
eliminate.
to avoid counterfeits, in your view?
The easiest answer is discovering their potential and start working towards it. Discovering their talents and start working on it.
So they
as
don't
early as
have
possible.
talents in consuming counterfeit. Their talents should be elsewhere. That's
Absolutely.
what you're saying.
Exactly. Counterfeit is a cancer, and that is why I support your petition to the International Criminal Court of seeing any person practicing counterfeit and selling fake products as a terrorist. So to me, I believe that the only way to stay away from terrorism is to do the right thing. Each one of us was created for a purpose, and the earlier you discover this purpose, the easier for you to afford the life that you want to live in the near future.
So shall we be relying on the Incredible Youth International to support the petition to the Hague
Absolutely.
to declare counterfeiters who are making fake antimalarials that kill a million Africans every year, making fake brake pads that kill a million or so Africans every year, making fake cosmetics that kill the women who are using. So Incredible Youth is endorsing the petition to the ICC.
We are 100% endorsing, and I believe somehow this is part of the Sustainable Development Goals that the United Nations is pushing for and creating awareness for globally. In several different goals, in education, in climate change, and all these other different things. So we 100% endorse it, and we want to come on board and partner with you in pushing the agenda and creating more awareness across
James,
the
we need to have a break just right now, but when we return, we shall be talking about education.
Yes.
Counterfeits in education. You'll be telling us more about your push and successes with the National Career Day, which you are trying to push at international level.
Yeah.
When we return. Welcome back to this last segment of the discussion, the log discussion with James Brain Ntwatwa, youth leader and leader of the Incredible Youth.
Yes, thank you.
You say Incredible Youth. I don't know, the other youths who are not incredible, where do you put them?
They are normal youth. Now, Incredible
So is
Youth,
there another organization for normal youth?
we are yet to find out. We are researching on that. But everyone who is not incredible is probably credible or uncredible. So we cluster those as normal youth. Incredible youth are supposed to be extraordinary in how they think, how they perform.
Living a full life. You're helping them realize their potential. But
Absolutely.
the medium
Yes.
of realizing one's potential is education.
Yes.
Now, Uganda is one of the, if not the most entrepreneurial country on this planet. Has that got something to do with our education?
I think it has everything to do with our geographical location because we are a land-linked country, not locked.
Landlocked, yes.
Like most people think, we are land-linked. So
Not locked.
No, we are linked to other countries. So because we are linked, it's easier for other countries to come to us. And we've been blessed by the equator.
And the weather.
And the
and
good
the water,
weather and the
land.
people, the tropics of the forests have contributed a lot to our way of living. We are warm people. And recently I was talking to a Kenyan friend who said, I can't wait to come to Uganda because it's a relaxing atmosphere. So we are seen as the
But we are relaxing on counterfeits. We have a heap of counterfeits.
Absolutely.
We are chilling and crossing our legs.
When you have a lot of peace, sometimes the pressure from the life that you're living helps you navigate life in a different perspective. And that's why they want parents who have almost given everything to their kids at a tender age as spoiling them as opposed to helping them develop a thick skin to handle life with its complexities. So geographically, we are at a disadvantage. And then when you look at our education system, we are grateful for the Ministry of Education because it is improving it gradually. But previously, it was last updated in 1963.
Updated what? Let's talk about the fakes now in education.
Yes.
You have exams leaking. I don't know, does UNEB set exams for nursery?
No.
I don't know if they do, but you have cheating.
Yes.
Cheating.
Yes.
From nursery, secondary, university, I think even at PhD level.
Yes.
So if this counterfeiting and faking goes into the education system, you think it's a good sign? You think, what is causing this? Why are we having fakes in these days? If somebody said, I am a lawyer, and they bring their qualification. In our days, you give your qualification, automatically, it's a given, it's taken, that's your name. But these days, if you present your papers, they'll have to check, is this Brian?
No.
Check with the university, can you confirm? Meaning that the counterfeits are really a major issue.
Yes.
What do you think is causing this in the education sector? And isn't it going to affect our productivity as a country?
In as much as I want to blame the education sector, I think it's a vice of incompetence and integrity in the society in general. Because what you're finding in education is almost found in all the sectors of economy. From agriculture, business, everything is somehow affected. The identity crisis of realizing who we really are has been lost. Most of us prefer being called someone else. And we want to live a life that we have not yet been able to afford as a society. And in most cases, if you're seated in an office, people are wondering why you are not living a better life as opposed to the kind of office and the power that you have. So the society has been demoralized, and we are trying to deal with that vice. The church and the Christian fraternity has helped.
Even we have the incredible youth, you're forgetting.
Yes,
they are
yes.
there.
But
how is the incredible youth dealing with this rot in
the rot is through identity. The first self-discovery trickles down to all the other aspects of life.
So are you saying they are identity demons?
Absolutely. Because once you know who you are, then it shapes the decisions that you make on a daily basis. So whoever is cheating, you cannot necessarily blame the education sector if there is NASA Road where I can walk to and convince the guy dealing with graphics that I lost my papers, the house caught fire, but could you help me, save me for this gig? And because you're bringing business to him, he will not mind and care before making this document that you're going to
He will
present.
just give it to you. But James,
Yeah.
wouldn't you also blame parents? Parents are pushing their kids to come with a first grade, a first class. Isn't that pushing the faking also in education? And some parents will even pay
Yes.
to make sure they will pay the school or whoever to make sure the child passes, to make sure if they had a retake, they pass it somehow. Are parents playing a role in the faking in the education sector?
A big role. But you realize that even the parents were not nurtured. The parents were not mentored. The parents are in the field where they didn't necessarily have to produce a degree to become successful. But because they know that currently, in order for anyone to succeed, they need to have a status of a degree.
But many of those parents were old enough
Yes.
to have gone to maybe even walk to school.
Yes.
In those days, if you had a UNEB slip, it was authentic. But how come now there will be the very people pushing and promoting that form of corruption for their kids to obtain fake papers? And yet they were not in the same system.
Mentorship. Mentorship. They practiced, but they had no role models that they were looking up to, that nurtured them to become who they are. They imagined, most of the parents that we grew up looking up to were so secretive. It was almost impossible to understand how much they are earning, where they are earning from, and what they are genuinely doing. We used to see them go to work, but we couldn't understand. It's rare to see a parent bringing the child in the businesses and showing them, this is how I do. That's why in our country, there's no inheritance of businesses. There's no sustainability. Businesses die with the first generation. It's close to impossible to say a business with three generations.
So you're saying this habit of
Yeah.
the child just seeing the father or mother bringing money, building this, you don't know what your father does.
Exactly.
And so there is no system that you can pass
Yes.
to your child that this is how you make money.
Look at the banking system. They will tell you that on average, 90% of the deceased, there's no one that can come and claim that money because they don't even know how much money.
They don't know what the person was doing.
Exactly.
How they were making the money.
They don't even have their account numbers. So they cannot go, God forbid, if a prominent parent died, the people will be struggling to carry out the funeral service, and yet there is more than enough money on the account of the deceased to take care of the function because of the secrecy that is going on.
So James, you're saying that to a large extent there is fake parenting,
Absolutely, 100%.
which is going into the kids and then also affecting our education. So you might as well want...
I don't want to call it fake parenting. I want to call it ignorance. There's a lot
Ignorance
of
is fake.
ignorance. Absolutely, but if you don't know, sometimes the blame is minor than if you know and you do it intentionally. And that's what becomes a crime. Oh, I just remembered, the crime doesn't care whether you know it or you don't know it.
Yes.
But the idea of encouraging people to do research in the different aspects of life could help save a lot in terms of promoting integrity, honesty, and helping young people understand that as I'm bringing business people, as I'm bringing these fake products, it's going to trickle down to my generation, to my kids, to my family, to my extended family. I'm destroying myself in the long run.
You know why I press you on this?
Yeah.
I know that you are widely traveled.
Yes.
You work with Estonia, a little country in Northern Europe, just 1 million people, but has a GDP almost the size of Uganda. What a shame. But back to education, and I'm sure you have done comparative analysis with those other countries
Yes.
that have ethics and so on.
Yes.
Here, even if you have somebody who did not cheat,
Yes.
but they have a degree or a master's, get them, put them somewhere to do some work, you will have the hardest time that you can ever have. Productivity is low. Problem-solving skills are hardly there.
Yeah.
Knowledge and understanding, it's one thing to have the knowledge.
Yes.
Applying the knowledge is also a challenge. That, what is causing that? And here you are telling me that you are helping youth in critical thinking.
Yes.
You are helping youth in creativity and communication skills. Is our education system providing these things? And if so, why is it that even those who have not cheated, they are not productive? They cannot just do anything. The majority of them. And that's why in the region, we don't have the best reputation. We are known to have, yes, good education, but get a Ugandan to sit to do the work. Many of them will not produce.
Absolutely.
Where are we losing the plot?
Mentorship and exposure. If I have, like personally, I'll speak boldly that before I met Patrick Bitature, I never really understood how business can be applied. I never knew humility and hard work and then competence. And the more I started getting closer to understanding how he does his business, how he does his things, if he's lying, he has lied well enough on the issue of integrity and sustainability. But because of what he's doing, I keep on getting inspired on a daily basis to have a yardstick with my personal contribution to society and to seeing that regardless of his busy schedule, keeps on taking on responsibilities and keep on contributing to society.
Yeah, but I hosted him and he said,
Yeah.
Fred, I did not get a first class or I got a third grade and here I am. I'm employing people of first grade. So
Yeah.
I'm saying this education we are pushing,
Yeah.
get a first class, get an A, get this degree, isn't it a time to rethink? You yourself, look, you're an employer.
Yes.
You have a network of 3 million youth. You're
Yeah.
in 60 countries.
Yeah.
How many people who have 1, 2, 3 degrees can go beyond even their district and do something?
It is a problem I'm still struggling with as an individual. You said I have close to a network of 3 million people. Estonia has less than 1 million people. And yet their biggest income or their biggest product is IT. And that's what they are selling globally. I'm working with OPIC as the country representative.
What is OPIC?
OPIC is bringing in the country digital solutions through education. They're partnering,
Online education,
absolutely.
for example.
They're partnering with local publishers who publish the content, the textbooks that our young people work with, and they're digitizing it and making it more interactive. They're providing animation, videos, and making it as cheap as possible and as affordable as possible to help young people. Estonia never closed down in education, or in their schools never closed down. They just switched.
They didn't have COVID.
They had a lot of COVID. They were affected more than we were affected, but there is no single day that they stopped because they
So why?
embraced
For them, they
digital
were resistant to
education.
COVID or what?
No, they embraced digital technology and they studied at home. Classes kept on going normally because they understood the power of embracing technology at an early stage. And because of that, this system has grown to over 5 countries, apparently. Now they're growing big in East Africa. They're in Kenya,
online
they're in
education.
Uganda, and they are now affecting Tanzania as well. But these are the solutions that we need to start adopting. We need a roller coaster of changing mindset. First is, there's so many Ugandans applying the Ugandan education system, thinking that you can only work after graduation, you can only work after you've gotten a degree, and not knowing that in the process of learning, you can work. And then there is also another challenge, because of limited exposure, that young people or even old people think that you can only work out of Uganda if you leave Uganda. There are so many people in Uganda apparently that have started earning lots of money, including myself, without stepping out of Uganda.
But working online.
Working online. So the earlier, the better for one to understand that there are alternatives in life, then that shapes their conscience to think otherwise.
So before we end this, how is this push that you did on the national celebration for the National Career Guidance Day, which is the 20th of March each year, how is this celebration or this day helping us to sort out these bottlenecks, these gaps in the education system? Productivity, competences, problem solving skills, creative thinking. How is the celebration of that day, a celebration of what day is going to change these things?
A celebration is an epitome. The National Career Guidance
of our
Day
problems or solutions?
Becomes the epitome of the work, of the day-to-day work, because it requires planning for you. By the time you get to the independence, you're not necessarily celebrating the Independence Day, but you're evaluating yourself and vetting. What have you been able to do well? What have you failed on doing? How can you move forward? Can you work with the policymakers? Can you work with international developing partners? What is lacking in the system? That is exactly what we are trying to work with on the realizing the National Career Guidance
Day. So it's a work in progress.
Absolutely. We want to take it global to become the International Career Guidance Day. How can we shape career? How can we compare the thought process of young people in Uganda versus the same age mates in the United States, in Estonia?
You've just come from the
Europe.
US trying to make this an international
Absolutely.
day.
So
what's the progress?
The progress is wonderful. I'm building capacity with developing partners and of course countries, because the United Nations headquarters only honors their partnering countries. State partnerships. So it's work in progress, but you also realize that by pursuing this, there are so many areas and elements, there are so many questions that are coming up, and it's towards the right direction.
Talk about the US. You went to the US in 2011 for the Africa Young Leaders
Coalition.
Yes. You went to White House and you were rubbing shoulders with the presidents. And many people think that these are just photo moments, photo opportunities. Many Africans go there, they come up with badges. Are you one of those Africans?
The program I went on was inspiring leadership and civil society engagement. The US government has been for a long time dealing with African governments, and they're still doing. But then they realized that there was a big gap between the actual beneficiaries of the programs than the key government officials or governments that they are working with, especially in Africa. Of course, they have had their issues with corruption, and of course, their special interests. So the program is literally seeing the emerging young people that are coming up. Can they identify different challenges than what the government displays to them? And if possible, are there solutions towards those challenges?
So it has been helpful.
So
the trip that you took and the coalition
of course.
Helping to spur you forward. This show is technology and counterfeits.
Yes.
Give me a straight answer. Are technologies promoting counterfeits, or is technology protecting us against counterfeits?
It is.
In your view?
In my view, it is yes and no. Technology is promoting counterfeit because so many counterfeit sellers are using technology to promote their counterfeit. But then at the same time, technology also helps you identify counterfeit products. Because, for instance, if you just use a search engine like Google, it will help you identify the genuinity of a product as opposed to a fake one. There are videos all over
QR
YouTube,
codes,
absolutely, that will tell you, and even comments or reviews. You just type in a car and reviews will flow from people from all over the world sharing their experience.
So you're encouraging consumers to use technology
100%.
to safeguard themselves.
100%.
Your best and worst technology ever made? Somebody said the discovery of antibiotics was the greatest innovation. Another person says no, it must be the automobile.
Yes.
What is that piece of technology that you cannot do without?
Communication. Any communication platform, I think, is the best technology.
And it's the worst as well. We have fake news.
Exactly.
Which is a form of faking as well.
And, and then the challenge is that when you get sometimes fake news, it's hard to reverse it using technology.
You've consumed it already.
Absolutely. And not necessarily, it stays online and people can consume it generations later, and yet it was fake in the first place. So if we could help reverse after confirming that this is not genuine, if it can be reversed and deleted from media platforms.
Should the youth use social media with caution or not?
Absolutely, 100%. Anything has to be used with caution because it's very easy to identify that use of anything, too much of anything is not only bad but worse. Yeah. So I think moving forward, everything should be handled with caution, including relationships.
That was James Brain Ntwatwa. Too much of anything. I guess he was meaning too much of counterfeits. We are saying as the League of the Genuine, do not even have too little of counterfeits. But that has been a discussion with a youth leader of the incredible Youth International, a youth organization that helps the youth, as he has said, to discover their potential in many ways, improving communication, creativity, critical thinking, and collaboration. Thank you, James, so much. And we are hoping to do a lot of things with incredible youth because we see and know that the youth are the biggest victims of counterfeits.
And before we close, I don't know if in the process of, in this campaign, there is accountability processes that have been established to help deal with people promoting counterfeit in the country.
Yeah, there are several things that are being done through the legal processes to ensure that legal sanctions are issued, but also to equip the consumer with the tools to be able to fight and fend off the counterfeits. Things like information, we are getting the brands to give the information to you, like how to identify, where to buy, how to check, give the specifications on the products, things like that. So it is just the beginning. It's a massive thing that requires James's support, your support, and everybody's support. Those who have been with us for a year now, those who like and share our videos, please do tell a friend to tell a friend. Every Friday we have a date. We are discussing the League of the Genuine. Always remember to remain genuine. Don't buy or sell counterfeit. Don't be fake. Buy genuine.
Absolutely. Thank you.